Hello, I'm Pastor Carl Johnston with the United Church of Hayworth, and this is our daily devotion. Today is December 7th, and I have been working on my Christmas cards, and 60 of my Christmas cards have the same verse on them, Luke 2, verse 11. It's the angel talking to the shepherds. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. For the next 3 days, I want to talk to you about those three titles, Savior, Christ, the Lord. And somehow today, December 7th, when we remember Pearl Harbor, may be the best day to talk about Savior. When Franklin Roosevelt gave his declaration of war and spoke to the Congress and the American people on December the 8th, he said, "Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The Empire of Japan deliberately and dastardly attacked the island of Oahu. Many lives were lost, some of them instantly, but some of them slowly over time. There were soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, who were trapped in ships as they capsized. The West Virginia in particular had 3 men who were trapped in a part of the ship. They tapped and tried to tap out the universal distress code of SOS. And it's interesting that some folks understand that to mean save our ship or save our souls. When the West Virginia was recovered 6 months afterwards in June or July of 1942, they discovered 3 men in this compartment. On the attack on the 7th of December, they were trapped there and they had a calendar. And every day they crossed off the days as they were trapped, hoping, praying that someone, anyone, would save them. They marked off the days from the 7th of December until the 23rd. We can only imagine how frightening, how hopeless that might have been. Looking for a Savior, calling for someone to help. And today, we look at this time of Advent as Jesus coming to our world to be our Savior. Sometimes there are situations that happen in our lives that we have no control over. Some of them we do, but some of them we don't. Those soldiers, those sailors on the West Virginia certainly had no control over being trapped in that compartment. They needed saving. They needed someone to rescue them. And spiritually speaking, there is a sense where all of us need someone to rescue us. We need to be rescued from sin, our disobedience, our defiance, our disrespect, so that we might be with a holy God. We're separated. Our sin, our disobedience, our defiance, all that, it separates us from God. And there is a desire on God's part to have us reunited. There is a story that I learned in seminary that salvation is a story of good news, bad news, good news. Good news is God created us in the image of God. Bad news is we fell from that image when we sinned. Good news is when Jesus came, we could be restored to that image. Good news, bad news, good news. And so all of us, every single one of us on the whole planet, need the salvation from Jesus Christ, that we would be rescued from our sin, from our self-centeredness, that we would be rescued and saved. Now maybe a different illustration would help you. You're in a swimming pool and you're swimming and you catch a cramp and you're going down. And the lifeguard jumps in the pool and saves you from the water, saves you to the fresh air, and saves you for the reason that you could have a wonderful life. I think that's pretty similar to what Jesus does. Sometimes we think we can do it all on our own, that our way is going to be working out well and we don't need anybody or anything. But then sometimes it just doesn't work. So we need a Savior. We need a Savior to become holy like God, become more God-like. So we're saved from something, our sin. We're saved to something, righteousness, not mine, not yours, but Jesus' righteousness. And we're saved for a reason that we might have a life that would go on. On this day, as we think about the 7th of December and sailors in particular pounding out SOS, Save Our Souls, maybe it's a good time for us, as we are in this Advent season, as we prepare for the coming of Christ once again into our world, to think about saving our souls and what Jesus needed to do for that. I'm Pastor Carl Johnston, and I hope that's something for you to think about today.